Hello, loyal listeners. Welcome back to this week's pull here on Comic Relief Cast. I'm your host, Jake.
And I'm Josh. Hey, Jake, what are you ripping?
All right, guys, and as you can tell, you've clicked on the Marvel segment for this week. There are a lot of Marvel books, so please buckle in. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to jump right into it with Captain America Annual #1 by Tini Howard and Chris Sprouse. Josh, what'd you think?
I like the artwork. Tini Howard did have this this dialogue with Cap and Bucky that kind of takes you back into that time period, but with the comic books.
We're talking like World War II time period, right?
Yeah. It's based in World War II, and it's just like kind of like a little one shot of that, like an old story that we've never heard. And she does a really. Or is it she?
I'm not really sure.
Yeah. Well, Howard does a really good job at doing the same kind of dialogue and writing that we've seen like Joe Simon and Stan Lee do for Cap and Bucky back in the day.
I will punch you, Nazi scum.
Yeah, Nazi scum, and just doing this like banter during fights and stuff. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, I liked it. It was okay. It didn't really do much for me. My thing is, when you do a Captain America Annual, I feel like the fallback thing to do, the kind of safe play, is let's go tell a story about him during World War II, because there's so much time that wasn't explored. I get it, but I've seen it so many times. They just rehashed this idea so many times, and I thought with Ta-Nehisi Coates, I can never pronounce his name right, doing this modern take that I'm loving of Captain America. Give me an annual that's got some downtime in the world now. Like, let me see how he's dealing with the modern time period. I don't need to see him back in World War II anymore. I mean, I get it, right? Like, this is back in a time where good was good, evil was evil. There's a clear distinction between the two. I get it, but I'm so just engulfed in this new Ta-Nehisi Coates run that I want to see, I want to see the moral conflict that he's dealing with, kind of like in The Winter Soldier, the way he dealt with, everything's not black and white anymore. It's very gray. We're operating in very different terms than when you were first, initiated as Captain America. Let me see his downtime during that. I think that's what an annual should be about, setting up the next story arc, but again, we're also in the midst of this. But just give me like a day in his life as he's dealing with the shit he's dealing with now, like the fallout of being the head of Hydra kind of stuff. That's what I wanted. This is not what it was. So for what it was fine, but it's nothing new, nothing groundbreaking. It has nothing new to say for Captain America.
I kind of, as a person who doesn't really pick up Captain America all that often, and I have been, I like the Brubaker run and everything. The one thing I really enjoy, though, from this is the new Coates run. It gets very political and everything.
It does.
And I like this because it takes you a step back, and it kind of reminds you, this is how Cap used to be. This is the way Cap used to be viewed. Like, this is what Cap was used to. This is his old life.
So it's kind of like you're saying there's a juxtaposition of this is what it was before and to what Ta-Nehisi Coates is now.
Yeah, it kind of gives you like a little reminder, like this like lifestyle that Cap is going through right now. It's different from what he was, what he's been so used to.
Right.
I do agree, though. I feel like an annual really should do something. I mean, I don't think it has to be anything that further along the plot. I always viewed an annual as kind of like its own little separate story, but kind of dealing with what's going on in the main storyline.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was bummed at. It really veered off from that. And so anyway, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna give my grade. I'm gonna say this thing is just right down the pipe. It's a 98 mile an hour fastball right down the middle. Any good batter is gonna hit this thing out of the park. So 2.5 Cyclone farts.
I'm actually a little bit higher than you, 2.75. And I would go a little bit higher, but you are correct. I've seen and I've read World War II Captain America storyline way too often.
All right, and we're going to move on to The Amazing Spider-Man Annual #1 by Saladin Ahmed and Gary Brown on the art. And this is how you do an annual. This is what you want out of an annual. This is something that it takes place back when Spider-Man first got his symbiote, and it's almost told through the eyes of the symbiote when it merges with Peter Parker.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I absolutely loved it. Like it's like this baby that merges to. It doesn't understand right from wrong, good and evil. It just understands urges, and it forms to Peter Parker, and it understands Peter Parker, and it's like, oh, my poor host needs to rest. I'll do this while he sleeps, and I absolutely adored this book.
I love this book in so many different levels. One, it's cool because they actually fit it around that time period. Like, I mean, he's hanging out with Black Cat,
right? It felt like the writer did his research.
Yeah, he did his research, and I like the fact that we're seeing that time period told through the eyes of the symbiote. when those books come out, when you're reading those books, it just seems like the symbiote, this parasite, is slowly taking over and it's evil and everything. And then you kind of get this new take on what the symbiote's actually feeling, especially with what we know the symbiote has been. How the symbiote has been with Eddie and Flash lately in the past new Venom runs and stuff. And then the artwork, Gary Brown, I don't know. That kind of artwork screams
Describe
to me.
for the listeners how you described the artwork, but use a little more PG-13 terminology.
Okay, so if Otley...
Ryan Otley?
Yeah, Ryan Otley had a baby, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Mike Mignola had a baby.
Okay, not the people, but their artistic style.
And those artistic babies somehow transferred seeds into eggs.
Yeah.
And then that came out. That's what the Gary Brown's artwork is.
Okay.
And that's like, and if anybody knows me, those are like two of my top artists right there. It's like Mignola and Otley. It was beautiful. I love the artwork in this book.
And you also can't beat that Gabrielle Dell'Otto variant cover that we got up there for you guys. Man, that thing is awesome.
Yeah, I love this. But here's my problem, though, is you're talking about the Cap thing, and we're talking about, like, you take him back on his annual, and you took him back away from the storyline that we're going through, modern time and everything. And in his annual, we take him back to his prime. Now, if you technically view Amazing Spider-Man, his prime would kind of be back then.
Probably, yeah.
And so you took Spider-Man out of this whole time where he's dealing with the conflict of, plagiarism and all this stuff, and, being two versions of him where he's, like, kind of swapped out. You take him back to a prime time. So why...
Because the difference is this story's never been told. I've never seen the story told from the point of view of the symbiote. And the symbiote I've never cared about. I've never cared. But to see what it was like for this symbiote to basically grow attached to Peter Parker, and we learn why it hates Peter Parker later, that's a story I've never read. It's a story that's never been told, and it's fresh and it's new.
It's beautiful. Yes. So I'm actually going to go ahead and grade this one. Okay. Cyclone farts, right?
Yes.
I gotta make sure I say it right, because I mess up my words a lot. I'm very Jeff Goldblum sometimes. Okay, I actually give this one 4.25 Cyclone farts.
Okay, I'm not far below you. I'm 4.0 Cyclone farts on that
Yeah.
one. I'm loving that issue.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, moving on to West Coast Avengers by Kelly Thompson and Stefano Caselli. And if you guys heard last time when we did issue 1, this was something I was not looking forward to. I was actually dreading reading it, and surprised, I loved issue 1, and so I was very excited to read issue 2. Now this one, it's got a lot of the same charm as the first one. It feels very much like it's still, progressing the story, but we're getting more on Brodok, and I think that character is absolutely hilarious. So basically, they're splitting the team in two, and they're trying to figure out, who is it? They basically think it's MODOK in disguise, and basically what this is the Avengers making their own villain. And the thing that's great, though, is you come to love this character, Brodok. You almost feel bad for this loser. But what'd you think?
So I was the same way as you. I was not looking forward to this book. I love the first issue, though. Kelly Thompson, man, she's just killing it. It's really weird because she has this thing where she kind of reminds you a lesson that you learned when you were a kid, and that's not to judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
I think
we said that about issue 1.
I know, and that's exactly what this is. This issue, I read it. I'm still enjoying it.
Yeah.
I still really enjoy it. I mean, the first issue I do find a little bit better. I think I enjoyed it more because it was so unexpected.
Right.
But this is still a solid book, and I highly recommend West Coast Avengers. I feel like a lot of people are kind of like not even giving it a chance because they're not looking.
Well,
they're not taking a chance on
that
it.
cover does not. It does not do it justice. It doesn't sell me on the book, but reading this book, I'm absolutely adoring it. Yeah, it's a little bit more millennial. It's a
little goofy.
Yeah, it doesn't take itself seriously at all, but that's what I like about it. As long as you're not taking this goofy premise seriously and you're just poking fun at yourself, I'm having a great time reading it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to grade this one 3.25 Cyclone farts. I had a good time with it.
Same one. I'm 3.25. I like I said, this is the one book that I highly recommend all these books that I give high grades to.
Yeah.
I recommend this one a lot because, like I said, cover does not give it justice, and I feel like a lot of people
not only that, but LA needs an Avengers team again, if you ask me. And
they do. As somebody who lived in California, you had to deal with land sharks every day.
Land sharks were everywhere. All right, moving on to XMen Gold 36. I'm going to do this one real quick, guys. The only reason I'm reviewing this is because this is the end of the XMen Gold run here. It's by Mark Guggenheim and Pere Perez, and I got to say, as a whole, this series was just unneeded. This series did nothing to upset the status quo. It didn't further progress any of these characters. It's a story that is completely skippable, and unfortunately, they get towards a couple good points towards the end, something that kind of speaks to more of the humanity of mutants and the way the world views them towards the end of this last issue. But all in all, this was just some filler stuff. They flooded the market with X-Men stuff again, and they had nowhere to go. They didn't want to change the status quo. They didn't want to change the characters. So, unfortunately, I can't recommend X-Men Gold 36, the series as a whole. X-Men Gold 36 doesn't end on any great, crazy high note. The very beginning of the book, I thought they were going to finally touch on the Peter and Kitty not getting married. They do. Then they completely sidestep it again. So, guys, for X-Men Gold 30, the whole series, I'm just going to give it 1.75 Cyclone Farts. Completely skippable.
So we also read Immortal Hulk number 6, which is Al Ewing and Lee Garbett.
The new artist,
yeah,
Lee
new
Garbett.
Artist. And you guys have been listening. You know that me and Jake were kind of falling a little off of Immortal Hulk.
Well,
we were
the last
loving it.
issue,
It was great. And then the last couple issues were a little slow.
Right.
And man, this comes out back with a bang. The artwork, this art, I don't even. Lee Garbett. I don't even.
I know the name from somewhere, but
I know the art style. I've seen a variant.
Before we even turn inward, though, I gotta give it props to Alex Ross cover again, dude.
Every
he
single
just
Alex Ross
nails
killing him. And I love the fact that they're regular covers and not incentive covers.
Right.
But this book comes back with a bang. The art is amazing. The story is the arc is not going on anymore that was originally going on. And now it has this different feel. It's more of a science kind of like feel to it.
It's also it's also starting to be a psychological thriller again.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's intense. What did you think?
I loved this book. This was the best Immortal Hulk issue since number 2, if you ask me, issue 2. I'm absolutely digging it. You get a lot of insight to Bruce, you get a lot of insight to Hulk, the way that dynamic between the two of them is working, the way they're both fighting for the same thing. But the way they approach it is very different. One of the things I'm loving about this book is that it's referencing the rest of the Marvel Universe in actual time. You know, it references what General Ross is doing right now in the Captain America run, and it references Jen Walters in the Avengers run. So I'm really loving the fact that there's that continuity, but it's not making itself beholden to it. It's just like, why are these characters not in this book? That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. They reference
acknowledging the rest of the universe.
Exactly, and it's a nice nod. And they, Betty Ross real quick, and there's a lot of clandestine stuff going on. We're finally starting to see a grander scope of what's actually happening. It felt like the last couple of issues were just kind of floundering in position while Hulk was just doing all these things that didn't seem very connected. This issue is starting to wrap it all up. We're starting to take a step back, and look through the peephole a little bit and go, this is what's going on. Here's how it is. And at the very end of this book, my God, I'm so excited by the end of this book.
I'm excited about this storyline again. And I know there's a couple people that were sitting there going, I don't think I'm going to pull Immortal Hulk. If you read this book, you're going to be like, you know what? I'm glad I'm not going to pull it off.
This last issue right here, the very end of this book for sure will reel you back in. You're not going to want to take Immortal Hulk off of here. I'm giving this one, same as Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 1, 4.0 Cosmic Farts. Or Cyclone Farts.
I'm right there with you, man.
Awesome.
4.0, man.
All right, and then you read Venom issue 6.
Yes, Venom number 6 by Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman is on the pencils. This is the conclusion of the Null God symbiote, God of the Void or Abyss is what they call him, God of the Abyss. And as you guys all know, I'm really digging this run. So this concludes that story arc, and this issue right here is probably. It just ends that arc, and it's not really anything exciting like the last few issues have been. With that being said, this book right here, I give it probably about 2.75. It kind of teeters over to 3. If I read it again, I'll probably give it a 3. But I'm giving it 3 Cyclone Farts. But as a whole, as a series as a whole, I'm definitely going to give this a 4.0.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's good. It introduces these new concepts, and I mean, it's taken it's books of it's gone up in value, and it's taken books that came out years ago and putting them up in value.
Well, it's because they're introducing new characters and stuff too, right? And new concepts.
Yeah, Cates is also hitting on these like more of an origin of the symbiote, more than just it's from space.
Right, kind of like cool. Amazing Spider-Man Annual, kind of tying in, giving the symbiotes a little bit more of an agenda.
It's giving it more of
agency,
an understanding, and making the symbiote not Venom, but the symbiote more of a character.
Oh well, speaking of giving people, first appearances and stuff, I read Thor issue number 5 by Jason Aaron, and there's a new artist on this book, Christian Ward. Christian Ward, however old you are, I just imagine his name, he's young, but Christian Ward, killed it. But even more than that, I got to give it up to the colorist here. And let me find him. I'm going to guess it's just Christian Ward because I don't see a colorist on here. This book blew me away. Okay, the next couple books we're going to be talking about are my absolute favorite of the week. But Thor number 5, Esad Ribic on the cover. I'm so happy to see him still doing these covers. But this basically addresses the very end of issue 1 when you saw the Phoenix old man, or Wolverine as the Phoenix, and they give a really quick beginning of Wolverine and Thor in their prime, and then it's all Father Thor versus Phoenix Logan. So it's so weird to put those things together. But this book is an all-out brawl, beat 'em up. It's so much fun. This is everything you want from a book like this. It's taking those crazy, outlandish, just larger-than-life concepts and just putting them all together and smashing them together. There's a lot of great beasts, a lot of different versions of characters you already know, like Eater the Living Planet. He's got a new look. Fin Fang Foom, a bunch of other people. Goom, I think his name is, from Monsters Unleashed. All these characters come in and they mesh together so well. Jason Aaron is at the top of his game in this book, and he's having a blast doing it. I know he's just having so much fun. And like I said, as I always say, if you've been reading Jason Aaron since God of Thunder, everything is connecting still. Everything is just it's long-form storytelling at its finest, if you ask me. But this is definitely a departure from the last 4 issues. I think that arc kind of concluded itself. Now we're moving on to this, and I couldn't be more excited. I'm giving this thing 4.69.
69?
Yeah, Cyclone Farts. I absolutely dug this book. And before we go any further, your secret code phrase for 20% off any book not on your pull list this week, or if you guys want to message the shop in the Facebook page, Facebook link down below in the description, it is Howling Commandos of Hoggoth. All right, we are moving on to Earth's Mightiest Heroes, The Avengers number 8 by Jason Aaron, and the new artist David Marquez on this book, who, if you guys read The Invincible Iron Man back when Bendis first started, he was doing the art there. He's the one who designed that new armor that he had. Mm-hmm. He does a great job in this book. I'm loving this book, but Josh, go ahead. I've talked a while. How'd you feel about Avengers number 8? If you've been listening to the podcast, you've been realizing that the last couple of issues of the Avengers run, me and Jake have been kind of, falling a little down on it. But we've also had, we've been some high notes too.
We've been appraising it, and we were kind of a little worried about it. Mm-hmm. And then Aaron comes back, and man, this book is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, same story as Immortal Hulk.
All these books you thought were kind of tailing off in quality come back with a huge bang this week.
Yeah, it's coming back with a huge bang. I'm loving Marquez's. I love the way he draws Cap. I love the way he draws Cap.
I love the way he draws everyone.
Thor
man.
and Cap,
classic.
man, I love him. Yeah.
So classic looking, yeah.
But this book is what you want from an Avengers book. It's that classic where, because I know a lot of people go, oh, I want the big battle scenes and stuff. No, I want the little fillers. I want to see them interacting with each other. And that's what this book is. This is them sealing the deal of them becoming a team. And it is beautifully told. The artwork is great. It's a fantastic story. What do you think?
I mean, as much as we thought Ed McGuinness was really coming into his own in the last book, I gotta say I prefer David Marquez on this book.
Yeah.
It instantly sells me. The ideas Jason Aaron introduces in this book is amazing. The new Avengers Tower, I am so over the moon and giddy about. I love this book. Yes, as you were talking about, I think I'm starting to show my age, because as much as I love the Avengers, beating shit up and going at it and showing their powers, I love these smaller books, the interactions between the characters, the downtime. What are the Avengers doing on their downtime? How are they functioning as a team? This is the stuff I live for.
And then also addressing things that's happened in previous issues,
or even previous series.
Yeah, in previous series, we're still there's still a little weirdness between Captain Marvel and Tony.
Yeah.
And so it's not like with XMen Gold, where we're just going to kind of let us mention it a little bit and then we won't talk about it anymore.
No, these characters are progressing, and I'm loving it. And not only is Jason Aaron progressing the characterization of all of our favorite heroes, the ideas that he's introducing and the way he leaves this book off, I'm so over the moon about this. I think this is my favorite book of the week, hands down. I'm giving this thing 5 out of 5 Cyclone Farts. I can't stress it enough. I love this book. You saw me reading it. I was geeking out the entire time. I think this is why I'm so energetic and upbeat right now. This book absolutely did it for me.
I'm not too far off from you. I'm giving it a 4.5.
Not 4.75, really? Okay,
no.
I won't interfere with your grade.
The only reason why is because the next book,
Okay. Yep.
it's really hard because I can't just like go like everything I read is this score. Like I can't just do that, and I gotta try to like compare
Hey,
it to
if
the
it
other
was a
books.
5, then it's a 5. I don't care what other books are. It's just on its own. What is it?
I mean, I'm giving it a 4.5.
Okay, that's
I think that I will like it more later.
Okay.
But 4.5 is still a very high score.
The end of that book is kind of gruesome too, and
The
I
end
love
of the
it.
book is gruesome. And one thing I absolutely do love is there's a little surprise with the Avengers team, and I'm surprised. When you read it, normally you'd be like, no, and then like I was expecting you to go, no, I don't agree with this. I'm not gonna say it because it spoils, but
I'm fine with it.
yeah, but you were just so chill with it, and I'm like, I'm chill with this too. Like
It works, and I love it.
It works.
All
Okay.
right. And moving on to the final issue, the thing I think everyone was hoping we would cover earlier on in this video. It's Infinity Warp's Soldier Supreme #1, and who is it is by Jerry Duggan, and the artist is Adam Kubert. That's an all-star team right there, if you ask me. And I love this book. Again, Marvel knocked it out of the park this week.
Yeah,
And there are still some issues I haven't read yet, but these are kind of the more high-profile ones in my opinion. So this book, it basically, if you guys have been reading Infinity Wars, Gamora folded the universe in half, so everyone's kind of, instead of wiping out half the life all merged together. And so this one you get Stephen Strange and Steve Rogers, Captain America, Doctor Strange merged into one being, and you find out how that all played out, and my God, was this just so cool, so creative, so much fun. This is the kind of
not too gimmicky for you.
No, it wasn't. This is the kind of Elseworld storytelling that I would love to read more of.
Yes. And this is the reason why Avengers gets 4.5. I love amalgams. I love taking two things that aren't supposed to be together and putting them together. I don't know what it is. I think it's just like that's part of the things that when I think about when I first got when I was really into comic books at the heyday, that's what was around. The Marvel and DC clashing. And this is just so good. It's so smart. I love every little aspect of it. I mean, this is a killer book.
This is how you reimagine stuff,
Yeah.
And also it made me realize there are some similarities between Cap and Doctor Strange that I never really even
you
paid
never
attention
realized.
to.
Yeah, same here. And then there's new characters that are introduced in this that are other amalgams. And I'm just
Right.
like, oh, this is so good.
The amalgam of the villain in this is just too
The
cool,
amalgam
man.
of the villain, the way his powers are used. I mean, in the artwork, stunning artwork, colors. I mean, Marvel has gotten some great artists on their hands this week. This week's books. I mean, I know that they're all kind of the same kind of style. They're all kind of going for that, like, hey, I could be on a Lemire book too. I know that's usually what our thing is for.
because we just like this kind of
artists.
artistic style fits the Lemire
It's
book,
not
right?
like your classic, Jack Kirby kind of look. Your comic book look, your Jim Lee,
Right.
Rob Liefeld stuff. But man, I just love this book. I absolutely.
Yeah, we don't want to give too much away, but we absolutely highly recommend it.
I'm just gonna keep saying I love it.
Good. Okay, so what was your score?
4.75 Cyclone Farts.
I'm right there with you. 4.75 Cyclone Farts. I absolutely love this book. I highly recommend it. It actually makes me even more excited for Iron Hammer that's coming out, I think, next week. So,
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, that is all we've got for you. Please be sure to comment below. Let us know what you guys thought about any of these issues that we went over today. If there's something that came out that you were really anticipating and we didn't cover it, comment below your thoughts on that book, and maybe we can share them with you. We'll read them maybe later this week. Definitely subscribe to the channel, guys. Please help us grow this channel a little bit. Share this with any of your comic book reading friends, and we will see you guys on the next video. And also be on the lookout because this week we are putting up 4 videos. There's a lot of content, a lot of things to read. So if this is the only video you've clicked on, there's definitely more on the channel, so check it out and take care.